Yeah, good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss the new topic in our course. It will be the servlets. The servlets is the plays a major role when we are going with the AMs and all. First, these servlets and the AM servlets are different, not entirely different. The names will be the different. We are using here as HTTP servlet. There we can use the Sling servlets. All the concepts will be the same, but the thing is the change in names. Here you have to understand first how can you write the servlets and what the servlet can place a role. This is the thing we have to discuss now. First you have to understand what the servlet and what it do in a Java. Normally servlet means, suppose if you imagine the thing, suppose you are searching or browsing something in a URL, it will get some response, right? It will get some response. How it will get some response? In that some logic will be exist. First, suppose think that first it is your browser. Suppose it is your web browser. Okay, when you are enter some request into your web browser, suppose I am entering with a hello or slash contact. Suppose contact is my page. When I hit with a URL, suppose here escalator, it is one URL. When I hit the URL, first it will hit the URL means here there are the two terms. One was the request, another one was the response. Request means what was the raised by user. One was the request, another one was a another one is a response. Request is raised by the user, response is sent by the server. Server and servlet are the both are different. Okay, request and it is a response. It is coming back to the when first you are hit your URL, it will send a request to the server. It requests to the server. Server means it is a physical entity having some hardware resources of networking concepts and all. In that, suppose it is a server. In this request, it will come with some headers and the parameters and all. When it will comes with the headers and the parameters and all, it will reach as the server. Inside a server, we have a servlet container. Generally, servlet means a piece of Java code which executes something. Okay, a piece of Java code or a piece of Java class code to execute something. Okay, when it hits the server, after that in that server it will calls the servlet program. Servlet, it will calls the servlet. Okay, it calls the servlet. If servlet needs some database connections or anything, imagine a simple login and register form. Suppose in this form, suppose I raise a request for the login. Okay, I raise a request for the login. In the login, what the fields you are enter? Suppose username and the password you are enter. For the username and password, it was taken from the browser. It was taken from the browser. From browser to the server, what are the variables I am getting? We'll take another thing. Suppose it is your entire web page or website. Okay, in that first thing is the request. What you raise a request. Okay, in that request you are done with an entry of slash login. Suppose slash login. In that slash login you are entering the some minor details of username, okay, and password in a text input fields, right? When you hit the login or any submit button, okay, suppose you hit the submit button or login button, any button, when you hit this button, it will raise a request. It raise a request. It raises a request with the parameters of username and password. What are the variables you are given? Based on that, it will comes with the username and password as a header. In the header it will consist and comes to the where it will comes, it will comes to the server. That means main server. Suppose imagine that, suppose it is a one main server, okay, one main server. In that main server you have a servlet container. Servlet container is nothing but it will stores the servlet code. Servlet is lies in the server, okay. In the servlet container, suppose it is a servlet container, suppose it is a servlet container. In that servlet container it will having some processing, like suppose you want to check whether first when the login you have to check whether the user exists in your database or not, right? First you have to check that user exists in your database or not, right? Suppose I am using one database. Suppose it is my database. Imagine that it is my database. In this database, in this, suppose you have to connect, it, right? You have to connect with the database and checking that user exists in this database or not. You have to write some logic, right? For checking the user exists in the database or not, you have to write some logic. By connecting the database, we are calling it as a JDBC, connecting to the database and fetching that user exists in that. If user exists, you have to send a response, right? If the user exists, in this also, suppose you have the things like a servlet code and all. In the servlet code, from the servlet code you are sending the response. From the servlet code you are sending the response. Suppose my response is login successful is my response. Suppose my response is login response, then I am displaying in my web page, it will be a something of login successful, like that. Or any new site will be open. That was response coming from this server, but servlet is executing the task. Simply like a, imagine in a real world entity. Suppose you are at the restaurant, you are giving order to the waiter, right? What that waiter do? Waiter does that request to the kitchen, right? That means your servlet code acts as a mediator between front end and back end. Acts as a mediator between front end and back end in the server. Server is one physical existence, okay. Server is one physical existence. Sometimes it will be the cloud also, right? On premises and out premises servers. First thing you have to understand how the servlet will perform. What is a servlet? Servlet is piece of Java code to execute some logic at a server or backend side, okay. That is the thing. And This is all about that servlet. What that servlet will do. In the AM also, the servlet will be the process is same. In anywhere the servlet is same. But here you can use the HTTP servlet. There you can go with the Sling servlets. That is the thing difference. But you have some idea regarding the servlets. That is the issue. Okay. Mm. First you have to understand what is a servlet. It is a Java code to perform some functionality in server. So functionality in server. Okay. Coming to the Java, it will be the Java servlet. When go with the Express and all, we have the Express node for when you are dealing with the man related things. JavaScript like that. Servlet, it is a Java code to perform some functionality in server. In the servlets we have the some life cycle stages. It will be the initialization and uh, servicing and destroying the resources and all. But first thing, servlet is run in the main server, right? That means we need one server here. That server we are using here is Apache Tomcat. Apache Tomcat. When you are dealing with the AM, then Apache Tomcat is a built-in server or the cloud. Okay, but there you can use the Maven and all. But here you are externally append the Apache Tomcat to your local and connected to the Eclipse and run your codes. Right. First, we'll go with the installation of the Tomcat server, how to install it and how to connect with our Eclipse. Okay. Right. For that simple thing, search for the Tomcat download or Tomcat install. The first you can get the Tomcat Apache. First thing. Okay, Apache Tomcat. It's better you can go with the, here you have the Tomcat versions. Better to go with the Tomcat 10.1 or Tomcat 11. Suppose Tomcat 10.1, Tomcat 10.150. Okay, it will goes the description. Right. Here you have to, suppose it is a window, you have to 32-bit or 64-bit Windows installer. Installer means directly it will install it. If you want, if you go with the zip, you have to extract the files and set the bin path. So directly go with the Windows Service Installer, it will download it. Okay, already I have it because of that. Right, install the server, double click on it. Click on yes. Next, it will agree some license and all, and select this host manager and examples also. Click on next. Right. By default, you can remove this. Like means what is the default values they provided to you. You are go with that. We can change it later. Next. Why? Because I have this already. This Tomcat 10. So I have to give the another name. How can I give this a Tomcat 10? Such I can change it. If you don't have, then it will sure. Suppose if I simply like this, you can click on the next, it will goes fine to you. Why? Because you don't have server right in your system, but initially I have some instances of the server. Because of that, already Tomcat 10 is the server exists in my local host. Because of that, I am changing the name to the Tomcat 10 search and click on the next. Here you have to select the pass. Suppose you are have the 11, it will by default take the 11. Here I have the 2 jdks, so I have to select the 11 here. Go with the 21 also, not an issue, but I have to go with the 11, right? And install, click on install. It will install the server to you. I think we're at the 8080, right? Port. We are go with the port 8080, right? It will install it, right? Unclick this show readme. If you click it, it will shows the readme file of it. Run the Apache Tomcat and click on the next. Agree. uh, Again it will come. Wait, I think I already done it. If you observe here, it will shows in the taskbar, it will shows the Tomcat server is running. Okay, if you want to check, I think I'll give the port of if you after completion of this, your taskbar shows the server running. If you want to check, I think I give the port of 8080. It will not work to me. Why? Because 8080 another instance will run for me. I think check-ins is running. Suppose localhost. For if you search for this localhost 8080, it will comes to you when you are installing the server and all. How it will come is okay. I'll show you how it will come. Wait a minute. After done that, after installing of the Eclipse and checking it, suppose you can search for the localhost 8080, it will get to you. It will not get to me. Why? Because I am setting the port for that server 8080, but in 8080 another instance was running to me. It will override that. So because of that, I have to change the port. For that, how can I change the port? Is first I can connect with the Eclipse. How can I connect with the Eclipse? Is suppose you are not installing the Eclipse developer version. Okay, if you are not installing the Eclipse developer version of WE, then you have to install that WE version first. Okay, enterprise version. We are calling it as enterprise. How can you install it? Go to the help. In the help, it shows the install new software. Okay, in that install new software, you can search for the Java enterprise version and install it. Already I have it, so because of that, it will not show to me. Java enterprise version or Java EE. Okay, you have to install that. Suppose you are not with a enterprise version of Eclipse. I already with the enterprise version of Eclipse, so I don't need it. Then you have to go with the perspective, open perspective. In the right corner you have one option of open perspective. Suppose if don't find to you, then click on the window, then click on the window. Perspective is their option. In the open perspective, then you can select what the perspective you want. I want the perspective of Java EE. Okay, so I can select it. Okay, then it will shows the server option below. If you are opening in the Java EE only, it will shows the server to you, server's option in the panel. Suppose it will not shows the server to you, then also Windows show view. In the show view you can search for the servers. Okay, then click on that. Okay, if servers option not visible to you, then no servers are available, click this link to create a new server. Right, exactly, no servers are available to me. So for that, double click on it. I think one click is enough. If you double click on it. Okay, here you can observe the one folder. Normally where this will exist to you in your local software is suppose if I open the my file manager, when you are installing your Tomcat server, it will lies in the C drive. C drive, programming files, Apache software foundation is one folder. C drive, under this C drive we have the programming files. Go to the programming files. In that programming files you have the one Apache software foundation as a folder. In that Apache software foundation folder you have observed the Tomcat server. Okay, what you install, right? Now here I have to select Apache. Okay, in that what the server I am installed, I think 10.1, right? 10.1 version 10.1, and server name it will choose by default. Next, browse. Here you have to give the Tomcat installation directory, where it will actually there, it will be at C drive, C drive, programming files, Apache software foundation. Double click on it. Why? Because if you single click it will shows an error. You have to give some permission, so double click on it. Click on the continue to give the accessing this folder to accept by the or used by your Eclipse. Click on yes, select folder. Next, click on finish, or go to the, if you want to see what are the next options, it will normally, if you have the any servlet programs that you have to configure with the new servlet. I already have one servlet program, because of that it will shows. Click on finish. Then server instance will be configured, but I have to run this server. Actually it is in stopped and republish view. I have to run this server. How can I run this server is right click on the server, start, right click on the server, start, starting Tomcat version 10.1 localhost, starting, but invalid ports, one or more ports are invalid. Open the server editor and correct the invalid ports. Why? Because I already mentioned that it was a 8080, right? But 8080 already is in use, because of that. Okay, I'll go with the different ports. For that, what you have to do is double click on it, then it will open this view. In this ports, Tomcat admin port. Okay, if suppose Tomcat admin port, here you have to place some unique ports. Maybe my ports are all are in use. I'll go with the 8094. Okay, and 8095. If 8081 and 8080 you have visible or that are not in use, you can use them. But I have already 8080 and 8081 in be maybe in use. Why? Because I am installing the servers lots of time. Because of that, I'll provide that. So I have to clear all the cache related that and all the things. So I'll give the unique ports 8094 and 8095. Okay, and again I'll run it. Right click here and start. Save the changes. Save it. Right, the server is running, right? This is the server running. Now you can check, I think, the 8094 localhost colon 8094. No such query found. Okay, we will run the basic serve code in the Java, then it will runs in the browser. Not at all an issue. Right, this is the process of to connect with the Eclipse and how to install the Tomcat. Every version, if you go with the 11 or 10 or 10.1, or you can go with the 9, the process same. Okay, no, not at all any difference in that. Okay, and uh, now what I have to do is I can create one servlet program. How can I create it? Okay, uh, I can create a new. Normally for a Java project, what you create? Java project, right? But here you have to create a dynamic project. Why? Because these servlets all are the web project, Java W. So dynamic web project you have to create. Wait a minute. Right here, project name. You have to give the project name. Suppose I can give as a demo servlet. Demo servlet. I am changing the servlet rate because of that. Uh, I can go with the module version of 5. I'm not sure it will come for the 6 also. Why? Because I am changing the versions 10. for the 11 it will work for the 6, right? Click on the next, click on the next, and here you have an option called generate web.xml. Here the XML file plays a key role to execute your servlet. Why the generally XML files used in the AM also XML files used for the configuration purpose. For the configuration purpose, the XML file helps to you. Like that, here you have the web.xml file. If you are not click on this, it will not generate the web.xml file. You have to create manually for that web.xml file. Okay. First, I can creating it by system. So click on that generate web.xml file. I can show how to we create that normal manually also. Okay. It will creating the dynamic web module. Okay. In this, what I have to do is you have to first observe the folder structure. Normally, when you are creating a project, it will shows the only SRC resources. I have suppose it is Java project. This Java project only shows JRE system library and SRC, but it will shows deployment descriptor. That means how we deployed it, JSX, web services, and Java resources and SRC. SRC is the folder which contain the web app. Web app is nothing but your main app. In this, there are the two things. One was the web related files like HTML, JSP, these all, and another thing will be the Java related file. That means servlet codes. Thus, Java servlet codes are lies in this Java, and that here web by NF web.xml file. Configuration file lies under this web.xml file. Suppose you want to create any HTML file, you have to create in a web app. Under web app, you have to create. Okay, not under web by NF. You have to create under web app. Okay, we'll when we are move to that, we'll discuss it. First, you have to run. How can you run a? I can run a can create a basic servlet code. For that, in the Java resources, I can create Java resources. I have some package. This is main. I have to first create a package here. Why the package plays a role is because I'll show you when the configuration time you have to must go with the package name along with the class name of the servlet. Because of that, go to the new. In that SRC, you have to create a package. My package is com.servlet. It will be the anything, any name, com.servlet. It was creating that package, right? Uh, in that com.servlet, you have to create a servlet class. Right click, new. In that new class, my class name is hello servlet or hello servlet hello something or basic demo, right? uh, Click on it. The major thing is in the servlet class there is no main method. We are not writing any main method in the servlet code. Why? Because we are not writing or we are not running the servlet code under JVM. We are running the servlet code in a server, Apache Tomcat server. There it will contain the servlet container. Servlet container loads this class into that and runs it. Okay, so there is no need to write a main method here. Okay, package and a class demo, right? When you are writing a servlet class, must it has to be inherited from the Must it has to inherited from the base class of HTTP servlet. HTTP servlet is the base class. It is under the Jakarta, I think. It was the Tomcat, right? So it will be under Jakarta. If it has a Tomcat 8 versions and all, it will be under Java X. So import HTTP servlet Jakarta. It was under the Jakarta servlet.http. We can import several things here. First one will be the HTTP servlet, right? And second, here we have to override a method. First, you can check that the servlet class, what its servlet class contains. Place it here, control click. It will be open, wait. Right? It is a servlet class. What that servlet class contains? It is a class file. Okay? You have to observe it is a class file. Class file means compiled file, right? A compiler from the http servlet.java. It is compiled from http servlet.java. In this, wait a minute. Okay, what are the methods it has? Control F. In the control F, generic servlet is one type. We can create a servlets. Normally HTTP servlet we are using, and a descriptor. What the file you are using? Jakarta. All are Jakarta servlet HTTP, and not getting the control file. Nice. Okay, wait. Here you can observe do put is one method. Like the same way you have the do post is one method, and like the same way you have the do head is one method, and do get is also a method to achieve this servlet request and all. We'll see one by one, not an issue. Class editor. Okay. Override. Why? Because a HTTP servlet has the do get method or the public service method. We have to override that functionality here. How can I override is public void do get. I can go with the do get. Okay. Generally this do get method or do post method or the service method accepts the two parameters as a method parameters. The parameters are one was HTTP request, another thing was HTTP response. HTTP servlet request, another thing was HTTP servlet response. HTTP servlet request, one thing I have to give it as a variable. Normally HTTP servlet and HTTP servlet are the interfaces. Okay, these interfaces we are creating an object HTTP servlet response res suppose. Okay, import that HTTP servlet request and also import that HTTP servlet response. Why? Because these are the interfaces we are creating objects and passing into the do get method. Here you can use the service also, not at all any issue. This is the normal way. First, how can we print something? Normally if you want to print in a console, what you have to write system.out.println, but here we have to print on a web page, right? So for that we have a one print writer interface. Print writer is also interface to write something on a web page. How can you do it is suppose print writer out equals to print writer is from response. You have to write it on a response row, response dot get writer, right? And you have to import this print writer. Right, java.io.print writer. Why? Because these are the IO interfaces, input output interfaces. Print writer out res.get response. For that out you can write out dot println or the print of the same thing, out dot println of, suppose I can go with the h one of hello servlet, right? It is done. But the major task here is you have to configure this servlet program in the web.xml. Okay, in the web.xml. It will open the web.xml file. Okay, this is the default text it will give. First thing, I think if you have the basic knowledge on the HTMLs, then you can understand the tags and all, right? Suppose the normal tag is servlet. Servlet is the tag. In the servlet tag, what you have to give is first one servlet class, first one servlet map, servlet name. Okay, you have to mention a name for your servlet. Suppose my servlet name is ABC. Okay, ABC was my servlet name. Then here are my servlet classes. with the package name you have to mention here. My package is com dot servlet is a capital S, I think. Servlet dot class name. Class name is basic demo, right? Servlet is basic demo. And this is the servlet name. This is the servlet class where I am importing the servlet class. Com dot servlet, right? I have to check for that. And you are creating the servlet here. If you are writing this, you are creating the servlet, but you have to map that servlet in the URL pattern. So on the tag it was a servlet mapping, servlet mapping. In that servlet mapping, uh, what you mentioned here, servlet name, as it is you have to write here without changing the name. What the name you are mentioning here, you have to go with this here. What is this? Right. Servlet mapping. And another thing you have to add as a child as URL pattern. URL pattern means by what URL pattern you have to go through it. My URL pattern suppose is hello. Okay, slash hello is my URL. So it is the URL pattern you have to check it. That means localhost colon 8095 slash hello. Okay. Hmm. Here I am getting an error. Why? Okay. Braces issue. Done. Control S. And here you have to add one compile time exception. That was a throws IO exception. IO is one exception of the compile time. So you have to import it. Okay. And now you have to run it. How can you run it? Is right click key here on a file, right click. You can see an option of run as. You can observe one option run on server. Run on server. Localhost 10.1. Always use this server when running this port. Click on next. Okay, finish it. The major problem with the servlets is sometimes the port will be not aligned good. Sometimes the ports will not align good. That will be the issue. I think it will be started. Right. Right. Hello servlet is my response I am getting by server. Right. Uh, this is the basic how can we install the Tomcat server and how can we connect with the Eclipse and how can we run simple things. And we have a different concept in the servlet. There are the life cycles of initialization and services of the method of do get, do post, do put, do delete, like these methods, and also destroying of the services or the configurations. And how can you get a parameter value? Suppose if here it is an HTML file, you are taking the login and user, that means username and the password you are getting, that you have to access in the servlet. That means you are passing from the request, right? That means here you have to pass. How can you pass here? If you pass, then how can you get it in your servlet? Right? that all the things we can discuss, right? But first thing you have to do is first install the Tomcat server and connect with it and print something. Okay, right? uh, if you complete this in next in the next sessions, we will go with the how to uh, one HTML file, how can we get the responses and the requests from the users, and the send redirect and request dispatchers is a concept, request dispatchers and send redirect. And also in final, on Friday we can go with a login and registration form. How can we get it, right? For that you have to understand the JDBC concept. I can show you. Okay, but first you have to install the Tomcat server and connect to the Eclipse and print like this, but not exactly this. Okay, you have to check on the different thing. If you give another names in the web.xml, what you are getting, the issue is some are getting the web.xml file as like this. Okay, some are getting a XML file by default like this. You have to change here from design to source, then you can get it. Or else you can append named like this also you can do. Here design and source are the options visible to you, then click on it and change for that. Okay, the major issues when you are connecting with the Tomcat server with the Eclipse is the port issues, the main thing. Okay, the main thing is the port issues. Suppose if you observe here, my port is running at 8095 and it is my demo servlet slash hello. This is a configuration way of creating the servlet programs. And we have another thing, it was a by using the annotation of a web servlet. By using annotation of a web servlet also we can create a servlet. We'll see one by one, but first you have to connect with the Eclipse and you have to be work on it, then only it will be good to it, right? So also suppose I can create one HTML file here. I think under web app I can create one basic HTML file. Go to the new, my file is the HTML file. I think I have to create under web app, not under web by NF. Wait for a while. Under web app I have to create one HTML file. My file is file new file. In that new file I have to wait a minute. Go to the new, here you can go with the HTML file under the web app. My file will be the name of suppose basic.html. Okay, right, it is a basic structure. In the body I can go with the forms. Why? Because I have to passing some values, right? So form method is one attribute which method you are performing. Suppose I go with the get. Why? Because in the servlet also I am using the get, right? So form, inside the form I am go with the input type text, right? Type text, input type text and the name equals to hmm, name equals to name one, name equals to name one, or else value like a variable, right? This is one text, right? And the get method and submit. I have to access this, right? Submit. Okay, wait. Input type equals to submit, type equal to submit. Here we have to go with the one method of action. That means on submit what the action you have to perform. Here you have to mention the URL what you mentioned there, hello, right? I think hello, right? This is the way you can run it. And now what you have to do is where is that basic this is servlet, right? I have to try, I am trying to access that value here, right? My value is mm, how can I get that value? Firstly, my value is integer type, right? Suppose my value is integer type, or else by default it will take the string, right? So I can go with the string val equals to request dot get parameter. Request dot get parameter is an option to accessing the values. Get parameter, in that parameter you have to mention the attribute name. My attribute name is here val. Why? Val means what the name attribute you are mentioned here, the basic.html, what the name attribute you are mentioned here, that you have to use in this get parameter value. Here I can go with the val1 or value, okay, string value, okay, right? And save it. Okay, now you have to run this html file first. html file run as run on server. Restart the server, restart it. First it will open the one html file. అంటే డెవలప్ లొకేటర్ ఇండెక్స్ డాట్ జేసీ ఉంది కదా, దాన్ని మార్చాలి కదా, అంటే మన రూటింగ్ ఉంది కదా, ఆ రూటింగ్ అది వేరే ఫైల్లో పెట్టాలి. అవి డైరెక్ట్ కాంపోనెంట్ రెండరింగ్ కదా, కాకపోతే మన కాంపోనెంట్ ఏమైందంటే రెండు రూట్ ఉంది, డీటెయిల్ ఉంది, డీటెయిల్ ఉంది, హ్యాష్ రూట్ వాడు చేసాం కదా. సో అదంతా ఇంకో దాంట్లో పెట్టి దీన్ని సపరేట్ రూట్ చేసి దాన్ని రెండర్ చేయాలి. ఇప్పుడు వ్యూ రూట్ ఎలాగుందో ఇలాంటిది డీలర్ లొకేటర్ రూట్ అని ఇంకోటి చేసి మెథడ్ దాంట్లో ఆ కోడ్ పెట్టాలి, ఆ కోడ్ పెట్టి దాన్ని రెండర్. ఓకే ఓకే, వాట్ యూ డిస్కస్డ్ ఫర్ టిల్ ది డే, till now you can go through that, install the Tomcat server and connect with the Eclipse and run the basic program. Tomorrow we can discuss that how can you take the inputs from that and all. Okay. Right, we'll go with the attendance.